and a very good evening to you. Welcome to News First Primetime News live on TV1 from our studios here in Colombo. I am Shahin Rampati, and let's start off the look at tonight's headlines.
Sri Lanka downgraded by Moodys on political crisis and external tightening. Central Bank says Moodys' decision is unwarranted. Cabinet approves drafting of supplementary expenditure estimate until budget is presented. Nalaka Godaheva, accused of financial crimes, takes the helm at Sri Lanka Insurance. Satyagraha in Colombo demanding the preservation of democracy. Navin Disanayaka elaborates on next presidential election.
Well, in your top story this evening, the Economic Outlook, a forum organized by the Business Economic Students Association of the Faculty of Management and Finance at the University of Colombo, was held at the Professor Jairatna Auditorium at the Colombo University today.
Now, to come here on a morning when Moodys has downgraded us to come and say that the economy is in reasonable shape, clearly, you are not going to believe me very easily. So let me try to tell you why I think the economy actually is in reasonable shape. If you look at the key kind of macro variables, they are okay. I wouldn't say they're good, but they're okay. And certainly the economy is not on the verge of collapsing. Our potential growth rate, according to central bank calculations, is 5.75%. So we are well below our potential. However, in 2017, the number was 3.2%. So there is an upward trend. So next year we should get above 4%. So growth is too low, but it is on a slow upward trend. It's not collapsing.
Moodys Investors Service has downgraded the government of Sri Lanka's foreign currency issuer and senior unsecured ratings to B2 from B1 and changed the outlook to stable from negative. The decision to downgrade the rating to B2 is driven by Moody's view that ongoing tightening in external and domestic financing conditions and low reserve adequacy, exacerbated most recently by a political crisis. The stable outlook denotes balanced credit risks at the B2 rating level. Moody's expectation is that despite the current political crisis, any future government will remain broadly focused on implementing important fiscal, monetary and economic reforms that would strengthen the credit profile over the medium term. Issuing a press release this evening, the central bank says it is of the view that the decision by Moody's Investors Service does not properly reflect the country's macroeconomic fundamentals and therefore unwarranted. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka reiterates that Sri Lanka's macroeconomic position has neither deteriorated nor has there been any policy slippage since Moody's last rating decision in July 2018, in spite of the recent developments in the country's political sphere. It adds Sri Lanka's current level of gross official reserves amounting to $7.2 billion is sufficient for the country to meet its external debt obligations in the period ahead. In addition, as a precautionary measure, the CBSL has initiated negotiations with central banks of friendly nations with regard to obtaining foreign currency swap facilities of sizable amounts. Moody's downgraded Sri Lanka to B1 with a negative outlook in July this year when the economy was managed by the United National Party. Meanwhile, it should also be noted that several countries issued travel advisories to Sri Lanka in the recent past. These advisories were issued when there was no such dangerous issue for foreigners in Sri Lanka. Isn't the downgrading done by Moody's a familiar situation? Moving on to more local news, new appointments to state institutions have been made, one of which has raised alarm bells.
Neil Umagilia has been appointed as the chairman of the Bank of Ceylon. Mr. Umagilia is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Management Accountants of the United Kingdom and a member of the British Institute of Management. Previously, he has held directorships at the Sri Lanka Export Development Board and the Information and Communication Technology Agency, or ICTA. Neil Umagilia has served as a member of the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. A controversial figure from the past has been named and appointed as the chairman of the Sri Lanka Insurance Company. Nalaka Godaheva was the Supremo at the SEC Sri Lanka. His appointment to the SEC at the time was considered controversial and heavily criticized at the time because of his association with companies whose stock prices made sudden and steep gains. This was during the so-called pumping and dumping period. Nalaka Godaheva was famously associated with the Krish transaction, in which claims were made of large amounts of monies being purportedly requested by members of the ruling Rajapaksa regime. Godaheva has worked 2 stints at SLIC previously, once when SLIC was controlled by the distilleries group headed by businessman Harijah Wardner, at the end of which term his contract was not renewed. He emerged again as the managing director at SLIC under the Rajapaksa regime and resigned a few months before the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka returned the ownership of SLIC to the Treasury, holding that the privatization was flawed. Godaheva was later appointed to head the SEC at the height of the controversial pumping and dumping scandal. He is also associated with the sale of 29% of shares at Lanka Hospitals plc by the Distilleries Group after SLIC was returned to the full ownership of the Treasury. After the fall of the Rajapaksa administration in 2015, investigations revealed that Godaheva was involved in the misuse of SEC funds when it transpired that funds approved by the SEC board for the purpose of promoting share ownership amongst youth was diverted to an event promoted by MP Namal Rajapaksa. This resulted in Godaheva facing charges, being remanded, and he is currently out on bail pending litigation. Godaheva's appointment bears striking similarities to the appointment of Kapila Chandrasena to Sri Lankan Airlines, which was brought to the attention of the appointing authorities, who promptly withdrew the appointment in the face of public dismay. Concern being raised at key institutions like SLIC and Sri Lankan Airlines is not designed to point fingers at those who make the appointment, but rather at middlemen or brokers who are clearly taking advantage of the present challenging political situation.
A satyagraha under the theme "Let's Join to Safeguard Democracy" was staged opposite the Colombo Municipal Council today.
Trade unions affiliated to the United National Front and civil organizations organized the satyagraha. A group of MPs of the United National Front also joined the satyagraha.
අද සතුරා හිතපු විදිහට තමන්ගේ දාම් පෙත අදින්න පුළුවන් කමක් ලැබිලා නැහැ. ඒක තමයි කෙක්කර ගගා ඉන්නේ.
That is why they are committing 7 to 8 wrongdoings. It's like how feces join with feces. That is how Mahinda Rajapaksa thought that he can end his court cases. He supported this thinking he will be able to steal files from the Attorney General's department and replace them with blank sheets. He also thought they will be able to transfer police officers and do corrupt activities. They are not good intentions. Those intentions are not good for the country. So don't be afraid. Sit straight and fight.
හරියට කෙලින් හිටගෙන එක දශමයක්වත් සැකයක් තියාගන්නේ නැතුව සටන් වදින්න.
අපි නම් සඳහන් කළ අය පමණක් වේදිකා මස්තකයට කැටින් සිතාමත් ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කර සිටිනවා. අපි මාධ්‍යවේදීන්ට ඒ ඡායාරූප සහ දර්ශන ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා
A meeting of the Cabinet of Ministers was chaired by President Maithripala Sirisena today. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that Cabinet approval was granted to draft a supplementary expenditure estimate until the budget proposal is presented to Parliament.
Upon an inquiry by Newsfirst, Minister S.V. Dissanayake said that Minister of Tourism and Wildlife Vasantha Senanayake, who previously said that he will resign from his ministerial portfolio, was also present at the cabinet meeting. He added that Vadivel Suresh, who pledged his support to the UNP after he was sworn in as a state minister, had also arrived at the venue where the cabinet meeting was held.
It is clearly stated in Article 152 of the Constitution that approval of Parliament is not needed to pay off debt that is due. Therefore, we inform Mangala Samaravira not to create an economic crisis that is not there and put the country further into darkness. Is there a point in debating the legality of this before the media? Is there a point in expressing their grief before foreign ambassadors? If something is illegal, it must be challenged in court. Why aren't they going to court? In the past, the majority of the Select Committee has always been held by the government. It should be the same this time as well. Until the Speaker accepts this bitter truth, the appointment of this committee is not possible. We will just allow him to stay as long as he wants. Let him stay there. One day he will get tired of it and leave. Yes, it is very decent. We discussed on the economic situation. It was also reviewed. We approved all the cabinet papers. They are of a very good stance. They are of the stance that they will continue to hold the responsibility of this country. Nothing like that has happened. The governor of the central bank said that nothing like that has happened. He came and met us. We will present a proposal to promote investments in the country. Investment ratio should be increased to about 40% if the country needs to maintain a growth rate of 8%. The state sector does not have the capacity to bring in that much of investment to the country. So the private sector employees who have never produced their earnings to the Inland Revenue Department, those who have deposited money in foreign countries, or those who have not paid taxes can now invest the money in these projects. This proposed program will safeguard the money and the investors will have their own freedom and be rewarded.
Meanwhile, Vadivel Suresh says that he continues to support the United National Party. He made this statement after Newsfirst made an inquiry regarding his attendance at the cabinet meeting. He also said that he did not attend the meeting, and he also questions as to how a state minister can attend the cabinet meeting. Moving on to more local news, the rupee depreciated to a new all-time low today to 179.04 against the US dollar.
As per the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the US dollar was selling at 179 rupees and 4 cents today. The buying rate was 175 rupees and 11 cents. The rupee has depreciated by 16% during the year thus far against the US dollar.
United National Party MP Lakshman Kiriyalla expressed the following views at a media briefing at Temple Trees today.
The cabinet has been dissolved. When a no-confidence motion is passed, then the cabinet of ministers as well as the Prime Minister cease to exist. When that happens, the ministry secretaries also cease to exist. You can ask me where this is mentioned. I will read as per 52.3 when the cabinet is dissolved. It is clear the cabinet has been dissolved. There is no Prime Minister. Therefore, the ministry secretaries do not have a right to work. If the ministers give illegal orders and if the secretaries and the high-ranking officials of the government carry these orders out, there are Supreme Court cases that clearly depict that these state sector employees have to pay the losses personally. Yes, this problem has to be solved by him. He created this issue. We have to state with disappointment that this issue was created after a person who does not have the majority in Parliament was appointed as the Prime Minister. We ask him to provide a solution to this problem as soon as possible. It has been 3 weeks since the Parliament has been taken over by the so-called government. They have not been able to bring even one act into Parliament. Even though they call themselves the government, they cannot bring an act into Parliament. There were only 85 people from their side on both days. They have a crisis among them as well. This is like a tug of war. Both sides are pulling the rope. The person who let go will lose. We will not let go. We are not afraid of elections, but the election should be held under a legal government. This is not a government like that. The power of the Committee of Selection will be based on the majority in Parliament. If the government shows the majority, we will give it to them. We challenge them to show their majority. The 122 remains together. Yes, you will know it by Friday.
Amidst the current debate on the procedures and appointments in Parliament, Leader of the House Dinesh Gunawardena has informed Speaker Karu Jayasuriya that he has nominated 7 members for the Parliamentary Committee of Selection. Dinesh Gunawardena, S.B. Disanayaka, Nimal Siripala De Silva, Mahinda Samarasinghe, Vimal Veerawangsa, Thilanga Somatipala and Udaya Gammanpila have been nominated for the Select Committee. The letter sent by Dinesh Gunawardena to the Speaker highlights the fact that previously, after the elections in 2004 and the 2015 presidential election, a majority in the Select Committee was awarded to the minority government that was in power. He added that therefore he had nominated members to add up to a majority in the Select Committee. There are 12 members in the Select Committee, and Dinesh Gunawardena had informed the Speaker to notify him if this number needed to be increased. Still in local news, representatives of the United People's Freedom Alliance convened a media briefing at the Prime Minister's office today.
The economy has fallen back, we won't deny that. But on our side, we are ready for anything that is done legally. The rules and regulations of the parliamentary tradition are being safeguarded by these standing orders. If the general rules are applied during those 2 to 3 days, there was an unlawful assembly, wasn't there? All 224 of them and the Speaker should be taken to jail when looking at what had happened. There were no standing orders. A few standing orders can be removed and the proceedings can continue. But how can Parliament function after putting aside the entire standing order system? When the interim order was given, the Speaker, who was conducting the parliamentary sessions, changed his attitudes. We do not know who influenced him. Until then, he was all right. He said that he will support us. I went for a discussion with him where he said that he will resign if it was needed. Then we said there is no need to resign. We asked him to stay. We did not have a problem with him at that time. We asked him to continue to function as the Speaker. But after the decision was given, someone influenced him and changed his mind.
Karu Jayasuriya says as the Speaker, he has to heed the stance of the majority when 120 MPs have written to him challenging the current government. Issuing a communique, the Speaker says the statements and objections made in Parliament and outside about him being biased towards a party are therefore futile. He says that proving that the current government has the majority will be more productive than these demonstrations and protests. Moving on, national organizer of the United National Party, Navin Dissanayake, expressed these views at a media briefing held today.
Karu Jayasuriya මේ මැතිතුමාව පත් කිරීමට සියලු දෙනාම ඒකමතිකව අත ඉස්සුවා.
Karu Jayasuriya was appointed unanimously. Everyone raised their hands. Even members of the Podujana Peramuna and the Pohottua all raised their hands. There was no vote. Everyone accepted him as the Speaker. I saw Johnston Fernando saying that Karu Jayasuriya is doing this to promote Navin Dissanayake to the leadership of the United National Party. This is a complete lie. I will look after my name in the United National Party. There is no need for Johnston Fernando to worry about that. Also, Dayasiri Jayasekara has said that I am influencing the Speaker. The Karu Jayasuriya I know cannot be suppressed by thuggery, threats and that sort of intimidation. Also, when I went to meet the chief prelates, I made a statement to the media saying that we will be fielding a common candidate again. What I wanted to say was that it is a leader of the United National Party that will be contesting for the presidential election.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකයෙක් තමයි අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරන්නේ ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා හැටියට.
Convening a media briefing, UNP Parliamentarian Chaminda Vijayasiri expressed his stance about the next presidential candidate.
එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ තුල ඉන්න මේ රටේ සමස්ත පුරවැසියා
The political figures recognized by all citizens within the United National Party should be nominated for the upcoming elections. If not, we will have to think about the country and not about the party when making decisions. As a member of Parliament, I will have to put the country before my party. My opinion is that we should be working within the party or people outside the party in order to develop the country. So I would like to remind Ranil Wickremesinghe, just as he is trying to uphold the law in the country and act constitutionally, he should create a leader who can carry out such an administration. Let's work to create the kind of administration that the people of this country ask for. We acknowledge the need for a common candidate, but this common candidate should be from the United National Party. If a candidate from a different party is to be fielded, Chaminda Vijayasiri is not ready for that. There is no need to repeat the same mistakes.
The meeting of the Balapitiya Pradesh Sabha today ended in a brawl.
Councillors representing the United National Party arrived at the council today clad in black armbands. Subsequently, councillors representing the Podujana Peramuna arrived at the chambers dressed in black scarves. The council meeting ended in a clash.
Think. Never vote them into Parliament again. Our future and our children's future depends on it.
UNP Parliamentarian Gamini Jayavikrama Pereira filed a complaint at the police headquarters this morning.
Gamini Jayavikrama was attacked with chili powder during the brawl that took place in Parliament recently. He filed this complaint requesting for the law to be implemented following a proper investigation on the incident. I thought, and I have also made a statement, that I will retire from Parliament when Parliament is clean. Today, when we look at these incidents, it could be our people, it could be theirs. It could be the incident where a knife was brought to Parliament. I have the series of this. It was when the Speaker and everyone else were leaving Parliament that I was attacked with chili. I made this complaint not mainly because of the pain I felt in my eye, but in the name of democracy, for the future of this Parliament. I hope to take this to court following the relevant investigations.
Well, up next is our investigative segment Action TV, and to give us a comprehensive report is Chaturang Kapoorji in the studio. Chaturang, what do you have for us?
Yes, Shaheen, let me very quickly take you and our viewers to their childhood once again. Now, think of a moment where you get your new textbooks when you were in school. I've never received new textbooks, by the way, when I was in school. I've always got old, used textbooks. But if you got a new textbook, you open to the first page and you find a picture of the minister who was the subject minister of education at that time. Think of that moment. It would be a bit peculiar, wouldn't it be? But that is not the case right now. As you see behind me, this is a picture, a scan of a new textbook that is going to be delivered to the students next year when the new academic year starts. Now, as you can see, there is a picture of a certain individual, Akila Vilaj Karyavasam, who is the Minister of Education before this change happened in October when the cabinet was dissolved. This picture has been printed onto the first page of the textbooks that are to be given to the students during the next year. Now, I'm going to take you through a little information that I received. Now, last year, when we said that the requirement of textbooks during the year was 48 million and only 28 million books had been printed, the Education Publication Department, basically the Ministry of Education, said that the information that we reported was wrong. But now we have been able to get that information through a right to information, and in fact it is true that they have only printed 28 million books, but the budget had allocated money for 48 million books to be printed. Now, the logic that they brought up when this information was revealed was that this measure was taken to ensure that children who are educating themselves, who are receiving education, understand to preserve and conserve these books and to safeguard these books. That was the argument that was brought in. But now we see a situation where they have spent money, I'm going to tell you the value in a little bit, spent money to put a message and the picture of the minister in a full page of every textbook that is printed. They have printed 39 million textbooks for the next year. If you just think for a moment that this textbook is going to cost you 1 rupee, this picture and this message is going to cost you 1 rupee for the printing, that is going to be 39 million rupees that has been taken from the students, from the education system to print this particular advertisement or the notice. Now, these are the same group who claim that the books were printed in a lesser quantity to preserve or conserve and to make children educate through a less number of books during the last year. Now, there is another interesting point in all of this. At the last page of these new textbooks, there is an advertisement that has been printed about the Suraksha insurance scheme that is provided to all the school students. The advertisement is printed, but that insurance scheme does not function. There is no insurance scheme of that nature. Now, these are the information that we are receiving. Now, we know there is a political situation in the country. This person who you see behind me is not the minister anymore, but there is talk of an election coming. The court is to deliver a verdict on that. But if an election comes, if an election is called, if an election is convened, can these books be delivered to the students because there is picture of a certain politician who will be contesting? That is also a question the general public has to decide. That is the Action TV update we have for you today. It's back to Shaheen.
Well, thank you very much, Chaturanga. Rather interesting findings and analysis on Action TV on the printing of textbooks for children in Sri Lanka. Well, with that, we'll cross over for a short commercial break. We will be right back.
Allianz Platinum Awards 2018.
Since I was a child, I had hopes of becoming a talented sportswoman. Now I have another hope, and that is to win a Platinum Award.
Sports First, Allianz Platinum Awards 2018.
Welcome back. S. Vyalendran of the Ilangai Tamil Arasi Kachi spoke about the current political situation in the country at an event held in Batticaloa.
I have asked Ranil Wickramasinghe on several occasions to recommence the paper factory in Valle, Chennai in the past 3.5 years. I told him that there are youth in the area who are unemployed and who are qualified. He did not do this. What was done instead? An ethanol factory was constructed at a cost of 4.5 billion rupees by Aloysius, who is the son-in-law of the governor of the central bank, who was involved in the bond scam. Someone asked me whether I got money along with the ministry. I told them that there is talk of money being given not to accept any ministry. There is talk of people being given money to remain in the opposition and support the government. If there is a ministry, they can help the people. They must have thought along these lines.
News First, Sirasa TV and Shakti TV won several awards at State Television Awards Festival held at the Nellum Pokona Theatre. The State Television Awards Festival got underway this evening under the patronage of award-winning movie director Sumitra Pires. R. Gogolnath of News First won the Best Tamil Medium Cultural Program at the event. He won this award for the Tamilin Maru Magal program. Pulinda Misaka won the award for the Best Multi-Camera Production Pentathlon. Shiran Prageet of Sirasa TV won an award for the trailer for World Water Day. Sirasa TV's Shehan Ranavikrama won the award for the Best Visual Editing of the Junior Superstar program. TV1 won an award for the Best Animation. And that is a wrap of Primetime News. Thank you very much for watching. I am Shaheen Rampati. Good night and take care.